to A Joy to Be Me, a podcast sharing the magic of minerals, microbes, and a return back to nature's ways. Tune in to learn how to nourish yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. It's time to reconnect with and deepen the fundamentals of human health so we can return to our wild state. I'm your host, Lydia Joy. Let's celebrate this wild ride we call the human experience. Well, hello, everyone. It's Lydia. I'm back with another deep dive episode for you. I hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving holiday. Definitely is nice to have that shift and enjoy lots of yummy, nourishing food, get really, really full, go outside, hike it off, be with your loved ones, be silly. Very silly in my case over here, raising 4 sons who, when we all get together, somehow we revert to middle school teen boy mode for at least a short bit, which provides much hilarity. I'm sure you have your own version of that where you are with your people. But it's all wonderful. And today I want to get into why we need more women in their fullest expression. We have to talk about the thyroid with this. As much as I don't want to section out parts of us, I want to do it in this manner to show you the whole today. I want to talk about a lot of stuff. So get yourself a nice cozy beverage or a kitchen chore to do or go on a lovely hike. I want to dive into this because I've, witnessed this pattern in my experience as a practitioner. I've had so many conversations, primarily with women, seeking answers to a range of health concerns and looking for a more holistic approach to their well-being, right? So I've noticed a lot of common trends in the recommendations they are being given by other practitioners. And a lot of times they're very confused, by the recommendations or by the things that they're being given that simply act as like a bandaid, right? And a major challenge today is the need to prioritize more education and understanding, more conversations of how our bodies actually work, how our lives actually work, we work within the environment of both society and nature's intention for us, right? So I really think that we need to be more thorough. We need to move away from these, putting out a fire only quick fixes, right? And a lot of times what women tell me is, they have gone to someone and told them their collection of symptoms, and they're told, their thyroid function is not up to par. Maybe they've had a thyroid panel done, or maybe they've gone to a functional medicine practitioner of some sort and had different labs run and also been told, their thyroid is not optimal. They have imbalances in their hormones. And then they're being given only hormone replacement therapy or perhaps supplemental therapy that is focused on, the hormone imbalance only. And I think this is a great disservice. I get it. And I also think with the witnessing of these patterns, we have to go beyond it. So we have to see the big picture so that we can go back in and chunk down how to deal with this, right, in a more thorough way over time. Because we need more women on this planet in their full embodied self-expression. Too many women are running on empty. They're functioning from a place of collapse. And I believe that the thyroid is like a portal. It's like, it can be like this gateway that when it is functioning optimally. Of course, it can't function optimally alone, right? It needs a lot of other moving parts to be working right too. This really can empower women to embrace their full potential, their full creative potential, their intuition, right? And these are all hallmarks of, we can call it the divine feminine, but really it's just a full embodied, self-expressed woman. And when a woman has her full thyroid expression and function, it can change the game, both for her in her personal life, how she feels about herself, as well as how she relates to others and the world and how she shows up in the world. So for starters, when women's moods are stable, and there's that boost of energy, ladies, we can be way more present in our life, in our relationship with ourself, in our relationship to our day, in our relationship to our work, in our relationship to our family. We have more of an emotional bandwidth to really connect with people, to be a deeper well of love and nurturance, right? And when you can handle conflicts calmly and communicate openly, everything just flows better, right? The woman being like the hearth of home, right? Just think about, entering a space with a warm hearth. You just feel, it's just much easier to feel at ease and flow and peace, right? And this is what a woman can embody. Gosh, more of that, right? So, and that extra energy, when I say extra, I really mean just optimal energy, but so many women are running on empty that they don't know, they don't understand what optimal energy feels like. So I'm saying extra energy because a lot of you could relate to that, that you're like, I don't have enough energy. I want extra energy. And this is having adequate energy really helps you say yes to showing up more in your life, whether it's, and I don't mean overdoing, I mean just the right amount, right? A lot of times when you feel burned out and in a state of collapse, you can't even show up fully to the community that matters to you, right? Or to, wanting to try new things or enjoy your hobbies. I can't tell you how many women have told me like they set down their hobbies and they're collecting dust and it makes them sad because it really made them feel more whole, right? And enjoy their life much more, right? Imagine just having more energy to fully live your life, enjoying your friends, enjoying your hobbies. It makes a huge difference in not just your own life, but in building connection with others. Right? So, and then even we can talk about focus. When our minds are clear, we can really hone in on what we want in life. We can see our own vision, our goals more clearly. We can feel more empowered to go for them, right? And suddenly it's like, wow, I have direction and clarity and purpose, and I'm not just like floating through life or feeling like a collapsed puddle on the floor all the time, right? Which the collapsed puddle woman on the floor is not very helpful to others. Let's be honest. It's so hard on everyone else around us. And, with that said, also too, when we're in this full expression of, our thyroid running right, we feel confident, we feel good in our own skin. We probably have more healthy hair, more able to regulate our weight, feeling like we can show up. We can get up out of bed in the morning and say, I got this. I got this. I got this day, right? And that level of confidence can spill over into every area of your life and how you interact with others, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And of course, the physical benefits, right? Energy, maintain weight more easily, regulate your body temperature. Uh, I hang out with a lot of women and it seems like so many women are always cold, and that affects a lot of things, right? Like whether you're willing to do certain activities, right? If you can't regulate your temperature and you're always cold, it can put you into a retracted state, right? So you want to be able to regulate your temperature. You want to have enough metabolic fire to stoke you, and then be able to go out into all the different adjusting temperatures, right? Not always running cold. Your skin, your hair, you're going to be more vibrant, your heart rate, your blood pressure more steady, menstrual cycles more regular. Honestly, this well-functioning thyroid supports so much. It supports strong immune health. It plays a role in digestion, just contributes to a general sense of vitality and well-being. So it helps you get more in tune with your body and be better equipped to handle everyday challenges. Excuse me. So when women feel that, oh goodness, I just like swallowed my saliva wrong. Oh my goodness. Oh, so when women feel vibrant and healthy, it shows up in everything, in their relationships, in their pursuit of what really matters. It just is a big deal. So I want to explore this today with a big overview of my, rewilded approach, what it looks like using the 2 functional tests I work with, to address all the key foundations and systems in the body, and then cover the 7 pillars as well. So it's kind of a deep dive in a way, but it's really just trying to cover a whole picture here for you and give you lots of little nuggets of wisdom and takeaways once you finish the episode, all right? So I'm going to give you a little understanding of the gland, how it works, right? Because I don't know what you know, and, a refresher can never hurt anyone, right? So we know the thyroid gland. We should know it plays like this really important role in our bodies. It's like a control center, if you will, for various functions. One of its main jobs is to regulate metabolism, which is, basically how our body converts food into energy. And when the thyroid produces hormones like T3 and T4, it helps control how quickly we burn our energy, which affects everything from how much energy we have during the day to how well we maintain a healthy weight. But it doesn't stop there. It also influences our heart rate. It helps to keep it steady, ensuring we have good blood flow efficiently throughout our body, which is massively important. And if the thyroid is overactive in some cases, you could feel your heart racing, right? And then when it's underactive, it can make you a little more sluggish. And oftentimes I'll hear women like getting out of breath very easily. If you get out of breath very easily, maybe climbing the stairs or just moving around, that could be an indicator, right? And then, this regulating our body temperature, thyroid hormones help maintain a stable temperature. So if your thyroid isn't working properly, either A, producing thyroid hormone adequately, or B, not receiving them at the cellular level properly, which is a big piece of the mineral balancing work, you could really have a hard time regulating your temperature. You could be very cold all the time. If you're thyroid sluggish, you could be cold and hot too erratically. You could be too hot. You should be able to manage your temperature. You have a built-in thermometer. And so then also too, it's going to impact our mood, our mental clarity. If we have an imbalance in thyroid hormones, it can lead to symptoms like anxiety or depression, and this affects how we feel emotionally as well. So in a nutshell, we know the thyroid's essential for our energy production, our heart health, our temperature regulation, and our mood. It's like this conductor in an orchestra, ensuring that all these different systems are working together harmoniously. So then we can talk about symptoms of thyroid dysfunction a little bit more here. So it can have some sneaky ones, right? People maybe don't recognize them. If you're feeling unusually tired all the time, even after a good night's sleep, this fatigue can really creep up on you and make you think it's just stress or a busy schedule. Another common issue is weight changes, right? So many women struggle to lose weight despite, trying out diets and exercise plans, right? Some women might gain weight without any changes to their habits, right? And they're like, what the heck? It can feel really frustrating and confusing, especially when you think you're doing everything right? You really are trying, that's what a lot of women say. I'm doing everything right. Why am I gaining weight? And, there's a lot more to say and to see here. Mood swings, anxiety, depression, and sometimes this feels like it's coming out of nowhere, right? Or maybe you notice that you're more irritable or you're more down than usual, and it's easy to just be like, well, life's pressures, blah blah bloop. But, it could be related to how your physiology is functioning with your thyroid, playing a big role. You can experience changes in your skin and your hair. For example, dry skin or hair that's thinning or falling out can be, signs of thyroid issues. Right. And I hope people know these things, but it can be a little surprising when you put it all together, how much your thyroid can actually affect things that you might not immediately recognize. So the whole hot cold thing, feeling cold all the time, sweating more than usual, you might want to think about thyroid and your metabolism as well. And sometimes the symptoms can be subtle because they can overlap with so many other things that it can be easy to just brush them off or attribute them to other causes. But if you ever feel like something just isn't right and you want to go deeper into it, I think this is where it's really worth getting support. I've talked about Jerry Tennant before. The body. Oh, what's the name of his book? The Body is Voltage. I forget what it's called. Jerry Tennant has a great book. And he has this. It's his idea that the thyroid is like a battery pack for our body's electrical system. And I think that's a really fascinating way to look at it. If we have so many battery packs and each one is running down, they got to borrow from another battery pack. And eventually, if you keep borrowing, you run down, right? So if we think of our body as a complex machine, if you will, that requires energy to function properly, the thyroid plays a really big role in producing those hormones that help regulate all these key things: our metabolism, energy, overall vitality. So if we think of it as this power source that helps keep everything running smoothly, when it's healthy and functioning well, it provides the energy needed for your cells to do their jobs, right? From digestion to brain function. But if the thyroid isn't working optimally, it's like that battery that's running low and everything can start to slow down or become imbalanced. So another way we could look at it is like comparing it to the way a car engine works. We're definitely not cars or machines. But, just like an engine needs fuel and a good battery to run efficiently, our bodies need, healthy, thyroid to maintain our energy and function. And when someone understands that taking care of their thyroid is like ensuring their car has enough fuel and a strong battery, which I feel like in America, we often do that better than we do with taking care of our bodies, right? We take better care of our cars than our bodies. It becomes clearer how important this gland really is. So there's a lot of simple practices that we can, work with to help keep that battery charged and functioning well, so that we can just maintain that flow, right? So I'm going to teach you today how you can recharge that battery and keep it charged. Okay? Keep yourself charged. Keep your charge and your flow and your voltage and your energy up, so that it's not drained down too low, right? We want to increase the gains that help that voltage and that charge stay maintained. That's the whole goal here. Okay, so I want to talk about thyroid and minerals. I've covered this before on the podcast. I'm not going to go deep here. I think I have a couple episodes on it, so definitely go back and listen if you want a deeper dive. But as you know, I work with mineral balancing and the functional test of heritage mineral analysis, so we have to look at this in how it plays a key role in healing thyroid dysfunction. So it becomes like, just about understanding how minerals in general affect our bodies, right? They are these building blocks. They are gonna help support so many functions, including the production of our thyroid hormones. So when our mineral levels are, or our mineral reserves, I should say, are either low or imbalanced or complete, like some are low, some are high, there's a whole myriad of ways they can be out of whack. This can create, a huge ripple effect that impacts all of your systems, right? But your thyroid in particular. So we have a lot of minerals that help the thyroid create the proper hormone function. And unfortunately, not enough people are getting enough of them. And too many people are getting exposed to things that deplete them. So, for example, iodine, right? We know iodine is crucial for thyroid hormone production. But if you don't have enough and you have too many of the competitors, your thyroid can't do its job properly. I think I've talked about the halides in an episode. I talked about chemtrails in an episode. Those are examples of things that can drain your minerals, your iodine. So then we have selenium, we have zinc. We need them to, convert our thyroid hormones into their active forms. So it's really important to understand your unique mineral balance so that you can put in the right inputs to have your thyroid functioning optimally. But, it's not just about having enough of the minerals. It's about having the right balances of things. So again, too much of one can interfere with the absorption of another, which can lead to further imbalances. So for example, I've talked about this a lot. An excess of calcium can hinder magnesium's effectiveness, right? Both are important, but when they're not in the right balance, it creates a really big problems. So when we focus on the balance of the minerals within our body and the systems, we can help ourselves create an environment where the thyroid can start to thrive. We can alleviate symptoms of dysfunction like fatigue, the imbalance in our regulating our weight. We can also support our overall hormones, right? So it's like tuning an instrument. So each part is in harmony and the whole system plays beautifully. Then we have heavy metals they really can hurt your thyroid. And this is a deep topic to get into. And you don't need to go into every realm deeply. You just need to know where your body's at and start. So when heavy metals like lead, mercury, cadmium accumulate in the body, they really can interfere with how the thyroid functions. Heavy metals are unwanted guests. They disrupt the delicate balance that's necessary for our thyroid to optimally function. So they can block the uptake of essential nutrients that the thyroid needs to produce hormones like iodine and selenium. The interference can then lead to dysfunction and contribute to issues such as hypothyroidism, where the thyroid doesn't produce enough hormones. Heavy metals can create massive oxidative stress in the body, which is harmful to many systems, including our endocrine system that governs our hormone production. And this can lead to so much inflammation in the body, which further complicates the health of the thyroid. So, to deeply support the thyroid function, we have to try to reduce our exposure to heavy metals in the ways that we can, right? And focus on improving our capacity to detoxify, like improving our function and our ability to detoxify. So this can cover a lot. I mean, we can change how we eat. We can increase antioxidant-rich foods to help combat the oxidative stress. We can eat anti-inflammatory foods. We can eat more mineral-rich. All these things help aid our body to actually detox better, right? So that we're not accumulating them in the first place anymore, and we have the right ingredients in place to help us clear them when they are there. Getting them out of deeper storage, that's a whole different ballgame. But you got to get the baseline first, get those functions working right first, and have the capacity to deepen your healing. So when we talk about healing the thyroid, we got to address the heavy metal exposure and work on improving our capacity to detoxify ourselves. And, again, minerals play a huge role in our metabolism. Even the metals do. So, these are all just like different chemical reactions that are occurring in our bodies to convert food into energy. So that's why we need the nutrients, the minerals. I've talked about iodine. I've talked about selenium and zinc. They convert inactive thyroid to active, right? So those are not the only ones, but there's a lot of people who don't have these pieces right, and it's important to see kind of where your body's at and why do you not have enough iodine? Like, what's going on? Are you actually eating enough? Let's figure that out. Can you handle more in a therapeutic way? Or should you just work on optimizing, getting more dietary balance of these minerals first before you try to take them separately and take a lot to like do a thing, right? I know that this is a very common path out there. People are like, oh, I learned that I need selenium for my thyroid, so I'm going to take a bunch. And if you just do that and not other things, you're kind of adding to you're stirring the pot of imbalance here potentially. So you really got to know how to do this synergistically and well. So I really like people to start on just getting your baseline of minerals in a good balance going, and really work on that before we go too crazy. And the tricky part is the heavy metals can disrupt this delicate balance. So they can be a problem in the backdrop of your health, especially if you have like high levels of maybe lead, for example. It inhibits the absorption of, calcium and magnesium, which just those two alone are important for our metabolic processes, right? So it can disrupt and lead to sluggish metabolism and a further strain on your thyroid. So it might be important to know if that's the case for you. And that's why, the hair analysis can be a really amazing tool to start to see some of that picture for each person. Right. So when your body's, under all the stress of life, the stress of imbalances and deficiencies and toxins, right, this hinders thyroid function, slows you down, right? So we have to see it so we can deal with it. Right. So main thing here is just getting more of the right things in place, increasing your gains, and reducing the burden of toxins, decreasing your drains. This is how you start to help your thyroid and whole body function more optimally, right? Now, I do have to talk about the microbes because, the gut microbiome plays a really vital role in helping us detoxify heavy metals, as well as maintaining our overall health. So our beneficial bacteria actually can help us break down and eliminate toxins, including heavy metals, in several ways, which is super cool. I don't hear enough people talking about this yet. I hope we get there. Because I think that the mineral piece paired with the microbiome piece is such a potent combo to deeply support the whole body function, right? So the gut bacteria have the ability to bind heavy metals, making them less toxic and helping us get them out. Some of our microbes even produce compounds that can help neutralize the metals, which reduces their harmful effects. How cool is that? And our gut microbiome plays, this really vital role in that piece, right? So they help us break down, eliminate toxins, including the heavy metals. Keep that in the back of your mind, right? When it comes to detoxifying heavy metals, guys, I have to say it's crucial not to rush the process, especially if there are issues like leaky gut. So if you attempt some kind of a heavy metal detox without first addressing your foundations, your gut health, you could hurt yourself to hell and back. And I've seen so many people cause more harm by doing this approach when their body was not ready. Because forcing a detox can release metals from your tissues into your bloodstream, potentially overwhelming your body's ability to eliminate them, and particularly if your gut isn't healthy. So remember I talked about leaky gut in a past episode, but really quick, it just means that the lining of your intestines are compromised. And this allows toxins and undigested food particles to slip right into your bloodstream. So if you're detoxing while your gut is in this state, you risk reintroducing these toxins right back into circulation, which can lead to increased inflammation, a host of other problems. Someone asked me, like, well, what does it feel like when you're detoxing heavy metals? And I'm like, you shouldn't feel it in such a problematic way, because that's, our body's designed beautifully, but we have to restore its function so we don't have to have these crazy metal detox reactions. I think that a healthy microbial population is both essential for the detox piece and our ability to absorb our nutrients better, right? As well as, support our immune function so that we aren't always chronically inflamed or fighting off things, right? If your gut flora is out of balance, it can really make you feel a lot worse. So there's so much we can go into here, and I plan to over time. But this is why I partner the two together, because when you create that strong foundation of restoring your mineral balance, restoring your gut integrity and microbial balance, you really create this beautiful, strong foundation. So you become a much more effective detoxifier. You can walk through the world with these amazing boundaries within yourself to not constantly be, under assault, if you will, right? So when you eventually do start being better able to detox heavy metals, your body's going to be way better equipped to handle this process safely and efficiently. So again, I personally think, and this is my approach, is we really should be supporting our gut health and microbial balance before embarking on any type of more intended heavy metal detox where we're trying to force the issue. This way, the body can better manage the process without the deep overwhelm. So that's just my take. So I really believe that, we're going to be so much better equipped to do so much cool stuff when we do the minerals and microbes in a foundational way, in a shoring up way. So that's super cool. Oh, and then of course too, when we have more microbial warriors in our gut, if we have more diversity, if we have more balance of the good guys, they actually help us absorb our minerals. So that's another thing. You don't want to go out and take tons of mineral supplements and then not be able to actually absorb and use them, right? So if you focus on, eating enough and repairing your gut microbiome, then you're going to be utilizing what you're getting better, right? So the microbes, they help us absorb those minerals. They help us break down our food in our digestive system, which makes it easier for us, to actually extract and absorb them. The microbes also produce certain acids and enzymes that enhance our mineral solubility, which means they become more available for absorption in our intestines. Some gut bacteria can produce short chain fatty acids during the fermentation of the dietary fiber that we consume, and that also helps improve our mineral absorption. So you guys have heard me talking about eating more plants, eating more fibers, fermentable fibers. I beat that nail over the head for a reason. It's so, so important. And we took the fiber out of the modern American diet a long time ago. All right. Then having this diverse, healthy microbiome, again, maintains the integrity of that gut lining. This is what I call having good boundaries. Having good boundaries within a strong gut barrier. It prevents unwanted things from entering our blood, right? And it allows beneficial things to be used better. It's ultimately the best boundary to have is a good gut integrity. So then we also, now we get into it more and we can see how our gut microbes can actually help with our body's mineral metabolism and storage, right? So since they're interacting with the minerals in ways that promote their bioavailability and help regulate how our bodies use them, it also helps us store them. The ultimate goal here is to, get out of the deficit and have some reserve, right? Like get out of bankruptcy and now have a really strong savings account, right? If you can look at it that way, it's a little bit more of a sensible, balanced way to look at it, right? And our microbes influence how we process our thyroid hormones. They help affect the conversion of T4 into T3. That's the one we really need. And again, immune system, right? So when we think about thyroid issues, we think about the autoimmune issues, we think about Hashimoto's, right? So when you think about whether it's slow, fast, or autoimmune, minerals and microbes really play a huge role in supporting all the ranges of thyroid expression. When someone has Hashimoto's thyroiditis actively going on in their body, it really disrupts thyroid function by mistakenly attacking the thyroid gland. And then, you start to have tissue damage to the thyroid itself, which can reduce its expression, reduce its ability to produce hormones. It can, over time, that damage can lead to underactivity, and so the other thing too is when the thyroid gets damaged, it becomes inflamed, and the inflammation can further impair this delicate balance of thyroid hormones and production in the body, and start, creating antibodies, and they target our thyroid proteins like thyroglobulin and thyroid peroxidase. And, when we have these antibodies elevated, they can interfere with the normal function of the thyroid, and your whole system gets hit, right? And this makes it so much harder for us. So when the thyroid's not functioning properly, we know it leads to so much less of a quality of life, right? And we don't want to be in a state of collapse, inflammation, and attacking ourselves from within. And if I say it like that, I wonder if you guys could see it in how women are behaving, right? We're struggling, ladies. We're struggling. So, all right. I want to talk a little bit about inflammation because I think a lot of us are dealing with inflammation. Right. We know it can be a big piece of the autoimmune side, but it can be there even when we don't have like an autoimmune diagnosis going on. So the longer we have any inflammation sticking around, it really disrupts how we produce our hormones. Because we have all these inflammatory signals just throwing things off of balance, making it so hard for the thyroid to be like, oh, what do I got to do now? I got to deal with this. I got to deal with that. Oh no. The long-term inflammation also can harm the thyroid tissue. It can harm a lot in our bodies. But when it does that directly to the tissue, and over time, and we haven't dealt with the deep inflammation, it really can sneak up on us and decline our function of production of hormones, right? So just giving hormones back to someone exogenously, it might be like this short-term assist, but you cannot stop there. Absolutely cannot stop there, which is a lot of what has gone on when women go to get supported for their health is just, here, take these hormones, boop, see ya, bye. So we really have to get into what is inflaming us, reduce all that inflammation so that this gets better. So we get into repair mode. If we're in constant putting out fire mode within ourselves and we're not in repair mode, how can we possibly be fully expressed as humans, enjoying our lives, actually flowing through our days with the ability to enjoy our life? And so now I want to talk about how each of the foundations, so I've talked about foundations or fundamentals. I've talked about my 7 pillars. If you haven't heard that, I've been trying to get into that a little bit more lately, and I want to go into it today as it pertains to full thyroid expression and women being fully expressed. First things first, we want our bodies to align with nature's rhythms. This is called tight circadian matching, if you will. And this refers to synchronizing your daily activities, such as eating and sleeping, with the natural circadian rhythms. So when we take this approach, we're aligning the activities that we do in the day with our body's internal clock so we can optimize our whole lives, really. And so, for instance, eating meals during the daylight hours, sleeping during the night when the sun is down, right? It's as simple as that, because that can enhance our metabolic processes. It can improve our sleep quality, right? So tight circadian matching is really where it's at. And more, I think people are recognizing this in the last, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years. And it really, really helps us do all the things that we want to do. Women struggling with weight, struggling with mood, struggling with chronic illness. This is the lifestyle piece, the environmental piece, the nature's ways need to come back to heal us, right? So in order to do this, we have to start with our light environment. We have to. We just have to. We cannot escape this. So sunlight, right? I know we live in a society that makes this really hard. I know it sucks for all of us in that regard. It's real. But I promise you, if you start to look at the sun and work with the sun more, it will change your whole life. It plays a crucial role in regulating your circadian rhythm, right? We see the sun, it hits our eyes, it signals our brains to produce hormones. It helps make us feel more alert during the day, more awake during the day. The exposure to natural light influences our melatonin production, which is so much more than just helping you fall asleep. It's huge. Now, when it comes to thyroid function, there's, this connection of, producing the hormones, regulating metabolism, energy level, right? So the circadian rhythm piece helps influence the timing and release of our hormones. So when we have disruptions in our natural light exposure, this can lead to irregularities in our thyroid function, right? Now, we have all the artificial light, the blue light, the screens, the lights in our ceilings and our lamps, and freaking everywhere you go, traffic lights, flashing lights, store lights, yada, yada. That this really disrupts this rhythm. It really makes everything harder. So we definitely have our work cut out for us, but if we take some steps, it will help. So doing whatever you can to take control of the light exposure is a great, great thing to do. All right. We think about morning sun. I don't care if you can't do it the best possible way right now today, you can do it some way. Getting up, watching the sunrise, even for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, something, anything. It really does help. If you can build towards a practice where you get up and you watch the sunrise, you hold your cup of tea or coffee and take a minute to meditate. Maybe you have to drive to work, but I don't know, leave early and stop before you go in the building and just, whatever you need to do, figure out a way to more often than not start your day looking at the sun. Okay. This is that first initial sun to eyeball connection that helps you with your hormone production. Okay, so start your day the better way with light and end your day a better way with light. So how do we all end our days? Well, what are we doing at night? We have bright lights on, maybe screens on. I don't know what everyone does, but you can change your light environment at night in your home. You can shut down the lights. You can change your lights to red light bulbs. You can put on, candlelight or a firelight, or just start thinking about how you can reduce harm, reduce the blue lights, the unnatural lights, and increase the natural lights. If you're looking at screens every night, how can you change that? Can you get an app? Can you get glasses? Can you just maybe not look at screens at night? Maybe learn a new practice. Maybe shift that entirely. Right? So you want to think about start your day with light the right way, end your day with light the right way. If you can do those two things, even just a little bit, it's going to make a big difference. I think too, like creating a sleep friendly environment in light of light. So, getting all the like little flashy lights of things in your room out, get them out. And if you have neighbors, or you live in a neighborhood where there's a lot of people with all kinds of lights on outside, or you're near street lights, you want to block that out. I don't think we need to block out sunlight, starlight, and moonlight. But the problem is we have too many other lights competing for only just those. So if you live remote and you can avoid all those unnatural lights, by all means, leave your windows open. I mean, we would have once lived according to the starlight and moonlight as well. But because we have all these unnatural lights so pervasive in all of our environments, it's really important to create a sleep-friendly environment where you're blocking out all the unnatural light. So there's a lot of ways you can do this. You can start taking the inventory of your room and, go on from there. Then once you kind of get those shored up, then you can start to look through the rest of your day and figure out how to increase your natural light exposure and decrease your unnatural light exposure. So much to do on this one. We all have our work cut out for us. It's not easy, but the more we can, the better it's going to help us out. So that is absolutely crucial, first and fundamental. I know some of these things we don't want to do. We don't want to have to wear glasses. We don't want to have to do these things, but you do want other things. And those other things that you want are to feel amazing within yourself. So some of these things are necessary to do so we can get the result we want. Water, proper exposure to natural sunlight and reducing artificial blue light. It plays a role in how our bodies can produce exclusion zone water, which is that more structured form of water that is within us, and it's beneficial for our cellular function, right? So a year-round approach to spending time in the sun healthfully, especially in the morning or late in the afternoon, we can harness the natural light, and this helps stimulate various biological processes. Sunlight exposure helps regulate our circadian rhythms, right? So this is important. We do it to help us with hydration as well. And the natural sunlight provides the spectrum of light, including infrared light, which helps energize water molecules in our cells. So this interaction can help align the water molecules in a more organized structure inside our body, which promotes that formation of exclusion zone water. So this structured water within us is more efficient for cellular hydration and function. And then guess what? We have better nutrient absorption, transport, and waste removal from that. Okay, so you don't have to drink structured water to do this, although, drinking like the wild water, as I have shared a lot about, is one way to do it. Eating foods that already have the structure within them too. But really the bigger piece is how we are in the light. So we have to create a lifestyle around natural sunlight exposure to help us do this better too, so we can stay well hydrated, right? And then all those excessive exposures to artificial blue light actually disrupt the metabolic processes and make it a lot harder to produce the structured water inside of us. So, this is another piece of the puzzle. So the light piece affects the water hydration piece. So a lot of people are, struggling to figure out how to do water these days. I know it's hard. Well, one of the things you can do is, drink the best quality water you can get, but prioritize your natural light exposure during the day as well, right? This is one of the ways that we can support our bodies to create the exclusion zone water, the structured water within ourselves. And then when we do that, we enhance everything. Everything. The quality of our water too. I've talked about this ad nauseum, as you know, getting those toxins out, getting the minerals back in, huge role in the thyroid's full expression, efficiency, effectivity. I've talked about this in past episodes. We've got the chlorine, we've got all kinds of stuff, the fluoridation, it's just been a real challenge. So we want the minerals in the water. We want the toxins out of the water. We want the structure in the water. And in part to do that, we need the light piece right first too. So if we were to go on thyroid medication and we didn't address these things, and we didn't even know to address these things, what are we doing? Are we fixing anything really? Right? I think that thyroid medications are symptom management only. And they really don't address a whole lot of anything, quite frankly. So, we got to understand all this stuff and take measures to make changes. Let's see. All right. So what else do I want to say? Now, I could go on and on about this, but I think you get the point. The next pillar would be air. So with that, we have to talk about breath. There's a lot we can talk about with airway function and breath and the air. But, I want to at least broach it because it involves everything from our nose and our throat to our lungs. When things are working smoothly, we can take in air easily. We can exchange oxygen for carbon dioxide in our blood and keep our lungs clear of any harmful particles. This is really prevalent today because we're faced with a lot of factors that can negatively impact our airway function, as such as air pollution, right? I talked about that in a recent episode when I talked about chemtrails. We've got a lot more cars on the road, industrial activities, even indoor pollutants. Hello, mold and other things. And so we're exposed to a lot of irritants that can cause inflammation and blockages in our airways. And then, we got to talk about the lifestyle changes, too much sedentary behavior, diet, all that, of course, can play a role in respiratory issues. I think more and more of them have been becoming common, like allergies, environmental allergies, asthma. These can be triggered by environmental factors. Many people are dealing with stress, which leads to shallow breathing, and other issues that affect how our airways function. So we might not always think about our airways, right? But their health is crucial, especially with all this stuff going on and making it harder for us to breathe. So when we talk about how airway function relates to our thyroid expression, it's interesting to see how these two systems really do indirectly influence each other. We got to have good airway function to make sure we get enough oxygen. The oxygen's not just for our lungs, but also for the thyroid, for hormone production. So, if that's not working well, the thyroid's not working well. Right. So, and how we use the oxygen for energy. So if someone's dealing with any decrease in this function, or has any percentage loss of really optimal airway function, it can impact your overall metabolism. It can impact your ability to sleep well. And there's also a lot of inflammation going on with this too, like what we're breathing, how we're breathing in the wrong things, how we're not breathing well enough, right? I personally had a lot of challenge with this throughout my life. I had asthma. I was told I had, basically you could say I had a chronic form of a pulmonary disease back when I was a child, because I had like a persistent airway airflow limitation, if you will, right, which led to chronic bronchitis. I had severe chronic bronchitis for a large number of years of my life. I was told I had asthma in middle school, and then I suffered with both of those things on and off for 20 years. Right. So, having these issues is definitely not helping our thyroid either. So there's this really complex interplay, right, where airway health can influence thyroid health and vice versa. So I don't want to go too much into it. There can be a lot to unpack with this one for each person. But, there are little gentle breathing practices we can learn, how to breathe better, how to breathe through stress. A lot of people are teaching this. You don't have to go straight to the intense breathing stuff. Please don't do that. Just start with the gentleness. Even the nasal irrigation, which I talked about in my chemtrail episode, right? Cleaning up your indoor environment as best you can. Just even getting an air filter. Spending more time in as fresh of natural air as you can, right? This is going to help. The next pillar is movement. When you breathe better and are better oxygenated, you have better flow. So we have to talk about movement and lymphatic flow. This plays huge role. And then the problem is when we get into the dysfunction state, we don't want to move as much, but that's the very thing we need to stimulate our circulation, right? To enhance our blood flow through the body, to allow our lymphatic system to cleanse us, right? To allow our nutrients to flow through us better, more optimally, right? When we don't have adequate lymphatic movement, we can't get the waste out. So please, by all means, start here. I don't care where you're at in your journey. You can move more, I promise. Just got to find the ways that work for you and do more of them. Just move more. I'm going to tell you again, check out Dr. Perry. Watch the man on Instagram. If you're going to be on Instagram, he's somebody you should watch. He is very inspiring and motivational. He teaches a lot about this. So you will hear it ad nauseum to the point where it becomes a part of your life. But we don't have a pump in our lymphatic system like our circulatory system does. So we have to move, because if we don't, our muscles can't circulate our lymph fluid. Right? So fluid flows freely. We clear things better. We reduce inflammation. We receive things better. All right. So I don't care what type of movement people do. You got to find what you like. And you don't have to go to a gym. You don't have to go somewhere. You don't have to buy a ton of equipment. You can move your body right now, wherever you are, even if you're sitting in your chair. Doesn't matter. Just find more ways to move. This is incredibly helpful. I also think proper foot mobility is really important. I talked about this in Rewilding Your Feet, because it doesn't just impact your feet, but your entire body. And when your entire body can be more stabilized through your feet, it provides a solid foundation for your whole structure. So it's like the feet are like the roots of a tree. If the roots are healthy and well spread, the tree can grow strong and tall. So when you have good mobility in your feet, this allows for better alignment, movement, patterns up through your legs, your hips, your spine. This alignment creates a more open and balanced posture, which can enhance circulation and nerve function. And when everything is aligned properly, it helps the body communicate more effectively. This is why that like Superwoman pose is like a whole thing. Like just stand there and put your hands on your hips, right? So when we have this better communication, what works better? Well, our thyroid, right? Our thyroid can communicate better. We want better comms all around, from the feet up all the way through. So when your whole body's in this aligned harmony from the ground up, you yourself can be more fully expressed, because your thyroid, one of your main battery packs, is going to be running better. Now, wearing restrictive shoes can harm your foot mobility. Guys, please look at your shoes. If you are wearing high heels all day, or narrow toes, or squishing your feet, or your feet never touch the bare earth ever, this really limits how your feet move, and even changes the way that you walk, which changes your structure from the ground up. So when you're restricted from the feet, it affects restriction all the way up. Okay. So, and it can create tension, misalignment, and that tension and misalignment can impact the thyroid's ability to function as well. I did a whole podcast episode on rewilding your feet. If you have not tapped into this piece of your health puzzle, check that one out. But one thing you can do is get better footwear, that allows your feet to have that natural opening that they're supposed to. And work on your foot mobility. One thing you could do is, at the end of the day, when you're just trying to wind down, do a little foot reflexology, like help your foot open up. Okay, I'm going to stop there, because this is I'm so passionate about this. This is why I post a lot of videos in me and my bare feet online. No lie. I'm just trying to show people this is a really big piece. Poor posture. Oh man, poor posture is so hard on you, and it really can impact your thyroid expression. Slouching, when we are forward on our computers all the time, or on our phones, like that tension in our neck and shoulders can restrict blood flow and nerve function. We have so much going on up in our shoulders, head, and neck. And our thyroid is located at the base of our neck. So we got to have good circulation going on there, right? So if your posture is off, or if you're constantly struggling with good neck posture and shoulder posture and spinal posture, it can create a physical barrier that limits the thyroid's ability to function. And you know what goes on when that happens. So we also have the vagus nerve, which runs from the brainstem down to various organs, including the thyroid, right? So having good posture in our head and neck is going to help regulate so much, right? If there's any tension in the neck, it can affect the vagus nerve's signaling. And this will, potentially lead to decreased function because the communication between the brain and the thyroid, as well as to your gut and other places, is becoming less efficient. So how's the thyroid hormone going to help with that piece? How's it going to help you teach you to have better posture, for crying out loud? Now, oh man, I just have to say this because this is me. When we consider head and neck posture, I've had a lot of concussions. I've had so many concussions in my life, like too many. I've fallen on my head a lot of times. And so, if you're somebody who has had that in your history, you could be someone who has more challenge with structural issues where you really have to work on them a lot more than someone else. You can have muscle imbalances, chronic tension in the neck, and that can exacerbate things. So I'm just going to mention it because a lot of people come to me and no one's even asked them if they have history of concussions that play a role there. So, if you've had concussions in the backdrop, if you're constantly with like the head forward or tilted, because of that, it's not just the tech, but the tech certainly doesn't help either. That's going to impede your flow, and it's going to impede your blood flow to even your thyroid and the rest of you. So it's just in a domino effect, right? So, because it affects the vagus nerve, we got to pay attention to our postural situations, right? Everyone's is going to be different. Do what you can. This is why I go to a chiropractor regularly. I shouldn't need one. But I find that going regularly helps me keep on top of what movements I need to do to keep in alignment. So the more I go and the more massage I go, the more accountability it is for me to pay attention and stay on top of my movement throughout my week and month to keep this piece working well. Now, another pillar is nutrition and food. This is a big one. I'm going to do a whole separate episode on this simply because it's a lot. And I have covered it a lot in a lot of ways in a lot of other episodes. But obviously, once we have already someone presenting with slower thyroid function, this plays a big role in how we need to view what we're eating and how our digestion is working and how our energy system is working. So we can get kind of nuanced about this because we want to stoke that metabolic fire. I know there's a lot of stuff out there about metabolic health. I like that we are getting more awareness about this, but I do think there's a lot of it that's not helpful too. So, because, there's a lot of nuance to this. So I'm going to do a whole separate episode for you on that topic because it's a biggie. It's so much. We could talk about that for like days and days and days, right? But really to stoke your metabolic fire effectively, you gotta have a balanced diet that includes kind of like the Goldilocks amount for you right now of all your macros, your carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And I don't think that some of the metabolic movement has perpetuated is accurate. So, big conversation. But, for those with more sluggishness, you need more plants. You need that quick spark. You need them to also fuel your microbes. So that'll be my one takeaway. Get those plants in, eat those carbs. And when I say carbs, I mean plants. And if we think about it from that lens, we're not going to be thinking about the refined food carbs that ruined us all, right? Okay. The last two pillars are first, community and connection. So, your community or your family can profoundly influence your whole health, including your thyroid. So in many ancestral tribes where communal living and strong familial bonds were the norm, individuals often experience a deep sense of belonging and support. And this type of environment fosters emotional stability. It reduces stress. It allows for open communication, right? And these factors are essential for our whole health, including our thyroid. Because the thyroid gland is located in the throat area, it's closely linked to our emotional and expressive selves, which ties into, the whole throat chakra concept, if you will. This energy center being associated with communication, self-expression, authenticity. So when we feel supported and understood within our families or communities, we're more likely to express our thoughts and feelings freely. And this expression is really vital because repressed emotions lead to massive imbalances in the body, including thyroid dysfunction. So having healthy relationships that provide a way for you to feel safe to express true vulnerability, where you can share your joys and struggles without feeling judged or not accepted because of them, right? Having an emotional outlet like that alleviates massive stress. But if we're, surrounded by negativity, judgment, lack of support, it really creates these emotional blockages that can manifest physically, including specifically targeted to our thyroid expression. So I really think that the connection between healthy relationships, emotional well-being, and thyroid health is a beautiful cycle. When we have those supportive environments empowering us to express ourselves, nourishing our throat chakra, and promoting just a well-functioning thyroid. So that's one way to look at that piece. The final pillar would be like your embodied self, your soul path, you being in your purpose. A lot of people feel so confused by this, and I think we do because of all these things in the way. When you understand your purpose, when you embrace you for being the truest, most purest version of yourself, like when you're fully expressed, this helps you have healthy thyroid function too. Because when you align with your inner values and you live in them, like you walk on the earth fully living in what's authentic to you, what you believe in, and not so confused by all the pressures of what's the world tells you to be or do, you're going to definitely experience way less stress, way less anxiety. And when you have less stress, it helps you because chronic stress, affects the function of our main energy glands, our thyroid and adrenals, right? And the longer that goes on, the more it suppresses us. So when we can figure out ways to get in tune with our purpose, our soul path, whatever you want to call it, I don't care what terms you use. It's just like you being you. That's what the whole purpose of my podcast was. I finally found out it was a joy to be me. It was a joy to be Lydia Joy, the me, be the fullness of me. I don't know how to say it any better than that. But when I had that epiphany, it was like the lights came on and I had energy that I didn't know I had in a long time. So this is important when you get in tune with, feeling the joy of being yourself, being in your purpose. You're gonna want to do things that nourish you. You're gonna want to go and be, nourished mentally, emotionally, physically. You're gonna engage in things that allow you to become more, to have more capacity, to hold more in this life, right? So you'll have better lifestyle choices, right? It also helps you make better habit choices, right? You're going to want to eat better. You're going to want to move more. You're going to want to take really good care of yourself. It'll be a lot easier to do it. So when you are more truly expressed as you, you feel more in your own skin and comfortable in your own skin. This is going to do so much. It's going to foster connections with others. It's going to provide emotional support. It's going to buffer against the stress. It's going to help you feel more connected, supported. And then your body is going to also act in light of that, right? So living more authentically creates that sense of fulfillment and joy. It can enhance you in so many ways, right? So just even helping you create a life that resonates with who you truly are. This is something women tell me all the time. They want to get out of a job that's crushing their soul. They might be in a relationship that's crushing their soul. They might be living somewhere that's crushing their soul, right? When we can like do the things that we know our soul is calling us to, it's so healing for our physical body as well, right? Everything affects everything. Oh my goodness, I could go on and on. This is so important. I look around at the women in the world and I see this like desire for many people to just come out of this collapsed, burned out state and, be more in their fullness, right? So I hope you guys found this a little bit more thorough. Perhaps a couple things stood out to you that you could take away to work on. Just remember that creating an environment, right? We hear that saying is like, you can't heal an environment that got you sick. So part of what we're doing here is creating the environment, like recreating the environment for ourselves to thrive within. And that's the big picture. And you cannot rush your way there. You cannot get there by uphill, right? So we have to be gentle with ourselves and just keep moving forwards and creating the more nature-based way of living environments that we can, as we can. If you need deeper support right now to get more clarity specific to you, if you want deeper support, if you want someone walking beside you on your journey, I have many ways to do that. I would say that my minerals and microbes package is an amazing way to cover all these bases and these core foundations. It includes my hair tissue mineral analysis and the biome effects genome stool analysis. It also includes an online course in addition to the one-on-one support you get. And this course was really created to be a hub for your ongoing learning. There's no pressure to do it at any pace. It's just there as an additional tool and additional support with a lot of resources for you. So you can learn more about that offering in the show notes. I also want to mention that I do offer free discovery calls if you are interested in any of my packages, any of my deeper offerings, because I want to make sure you feel that it's the right fit and I feel that it's the right fit. It's just going to make it work way better if we come together and really decide like, hey, this really does make sense for you. So that's important to me. So please, consider booking a call if you really want to do a deeper dive with me. Now, if you had an epic takeaway from this episode, I'd love to hear it. Please feel free to leave me a review on iTunes, or maybe you could email me directly. I have the email below. I love hearing from you. I really, really do. Or you can DM me on Instagram. Or share this episode with a friend who you think might find value in it. All those are great ways to give back some support for what you received, and it really helps me to continue going and knowing how to share and what's really landing for people out there. So, all right, well, until next episode, stay wild and well, my friends.